Hello and welcome back to Softcore History. My name's Jake Goldman. I'm joined as always by my two co-hosts, Dan Regester and Rob Fox. How's it going today, boys?
Look at our boy growing up, introducing his co-host.
I always do, don't I?
No, not recently.
Oh. Well, yeah, they're here. Dan's here. That was
Dan
Dan.
will text me after shows and be like, he didn't fucking do it again.
Yeah, he's just fuming.
And I'm just like, it's fine. It's fine. And
I
he's
like-
just like,
so
he'll
be
just
a
like send me
professional,
like
God
a
damn it.
paragraph of,
I'm like Leo in Once Upon a Time going into my trailer.
yeah.
You're like
I'm furious.
But you're not mad at yourself.
you're mad at me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You're Christian Bale and I'm the light gaff guy.
Mhm.
Yeah. Fucking amateur. Anyway, we have a Patreon. You can check us out at patreon.com/softcorehistory. There, if you subscribe for just $5 a month, you get 2 extra episodes a week. And right now, we are on a mad tear of Risk.
Playing a lot of Risk.
Yeah, we are playing a lot of Risk right now. We are about to hit part 3, probably the conclusion of our Risk game.
It's
with
a
Joel.
mini-series, guys. We're not going to continue to play just Risk.
No,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This
There's
is-
plenty of episodes on the Patreon, too. An episode like this, normally you get every week.
Mhm.
You also get additional content. It's 2 episodes a week.
In a whole evergreen catalog. I mean, we've been doing it for
Got
like 2
2
years.
years,
And
yeah.
all this shit's evergreen because we're talking about history.
There's, the only rule we have is we can't talk about anything that happened in the last 20 years.
We don't even have that rule.
Yeah, it's with the exception of all of our college football references. The subject
Yeah, right,
can't
well,
be,
like the subject, right? We
Yeah.
can talk about things that are happening right now. We typically try not to.
No, we try to go back a little further. We're kind of
Mhm.
like Putin.
Yeah.
Whenever you ask us a question
You see
about
it.
modern history, we talk about
It has to go back to 882 because it's super
the
relevant to now.
Byzantine Empire.
Uh-huh.
right, of course,
Yeah.
of course, yes.
Now I want to watch that interview.
I kind of do too.
That he gives a whole history, like a fucking faux history. It wasn't.
Wasn't, necessarily historically accurate, but
Right.
neither is this show.
Ah,
Putin would be a
sometimes-
great guest on the show.
I would
would
have
love
him
to-
for a second. I don't know why he talked to Tucker fucking Carlson
Hey,
over us.
Vlad,
I would entertain every history question he said, every history thing he said.
we'd have Kim Jong-un on. We would have Vladimir Putin
Well,
on. We'd have
Un-
anyone
We
on.
would
That-
have Un on. That's a possibility with me.
Un would be good too because their history stuff is awesome. They, I think, at one point told their people they discovered unicorn bones
Yeah,
in a cave.
Well, his dad shot an 18 in golf
all hole
on
in
a
ones.
regular golf course.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Didn't
he's,
miss.
he's Hawkeye.
right. Hyper accurate.
And I believe Un started driving at 3 and has never pooped,
He's never pooped. Yes, that's also facts. But
which is impressive.
yeah,
What if that's true but he has a colostomy bag? Like he's never pushed feces out.
it just shoots out of the side of him?
Yeah.
Have you dealt with somebody with that bag?
Have you?
I've seen it at a party.
No, but it was also a very real possibility that I had to have one for the rest of my life until I figured out the Crohn's disease.
Oh man.
Imagine if I
been-
just had a bag next to me.
It would have been under your shirt.
It would smell.
No, it doesn't. There's
It-
a kid that came to a party one time that had one. I didn't know he was even wearing it. Maybe I was just drunk. I don't know. But I feel like this. I just feel like I would have noticed if it smelled bad though. Like
Would you have? You were at a party in college, I assume.
yeah,
Everything smells like shit. That's like his perfect place to cloak himself.
that's true. Yeah, he showed everybody though. And then it was like, oh, thanks.
Yeah, how close were you to him? It's not like
Like me to you.
That would be my horrible secret.
yeah, you're not like
I'm not like sticking my face in his poop bag. Of course, I'm not like going down on the guy.
No one is.
No,
why
I
not?
imagine not.
Why you go against people with disabilities?
I'm not.
Pretty ableist.
I'm not
Mhm.
gay.
Wow.
So would you go down on a chick with a colostomy bag?
No, I'm married.
Okay, Katie's dead.
Or Katie.
Yeah, this woman
a
strangled her
bag.
with her colostomy
No,
bag.
no,
cord.
I'm not. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Sorry.
I mean, it's a possibility. It's not just
This is
Crohn's
is,
disease.
We have now been demonetized.
We get demonetized every episode. I asked for a manual review last episode, and
Yeah.
no, denied.
Absolutely not.
Just because we talked about Quincy possibly stealing an election.
Well, he didn't steal it. Well, maybe he did steal it.
Maybe
but
he
it was definitely stolen from someone. I don't know who
I
snatched
think
it
the
from Andrew Jackson,
phrase-
but someone did.
election stolen or steals election. I
Not-
think
not helpful.
automatic demonetized.
Not good.
It's usually grouped with different kind of people than ourselves.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately.
It's just kind of under the same umbrella.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, hey guys, how'd you like your breakfast this morning?
Thanks for making us a biscuit, Jake.
You're welcome. I made you okay. So I've been really into obviously. Oh my God, the mic just keeps moving. I don't know what to tell you. It keeps going up.
It's super easy to fix.
Okay,
but
then fix it.
I just did.
Thanks.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
you challenged him to do something. He did.
Yeah. Good.
It's like he did a cartwheel, and you're like, I bet you can't do a cartwheel.
You bring this up. I usually cut it out of the episode, but I'm gonna keep it in for this.
Keep it. No, that's on me. So I obviously really like making my own food at home. I made some chicken biscuits today with my own fermented peppers. Fried the chicken myself, broke down the chicken
We're gonna
myself.
die because he picked.
Yeah,
up
I
his
don't
own
trust
stuff.
your pickles.
You ate them just fine.
I know, but that's just to be polite. I would take so much poison just to be polite.
Yeah, I will literally murder myself just to not have a confrontation.
I will become the most fascist person on earth if it doesn't ruin a family dinner. Like, I'm just not trying to be weird at dinner.
Yeah.
Period. Like, it's like, oh, you think we should like send all a Dan example, all the homeless to Mars? Yeah, man. Sure.
Oh,
pass
totally.
the potatoes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Too many. Pass the potatoes, please.
How about them
Sorry, I had
gators?
a really good solution before the homeless became a problem.
The
I was ahead of my time.
final solution for the homeless? You would
No,
call it?
the final solution is going to end up being the suicide pods.
I mean, yeah.
You know that's what's going to happen to these homeless people, right?
They're just going to be put in pods.
Against their will.
You think it's going to be against their will?
They'll talk them into it, but it just won't be hard.
No.
L.A. They're hosting the Olympics.
Ooh. When is that?
2028, I think.
I
right?
actually just think there might be
Yeah.
a human street sweeper.
It just
like a
blows them
giant
to the
one that's
sides. Just Skid Row just
Yeah.
gets like, yeah, it's just a big vacuum. Actually, all you do is you throw them in a, see, it moves.
It literally is moving
It's
in front of
moving
you
as,
right now.
As I'm. Okay. Thanks, Dan. Anywho, yeah. So my biggest thing though, I love making bread. I brought some bread in today. Maybe I'll bring it. I'll put it up on the screen in a minute, or I'll take a picture. Yeah, I'm a card-carrying certified bread boy. It's one of my favorite things on earth. In episodes past, though, or in the past, people have asked me, like, hey, why don't you do, like, a history of bread episode?
You did do a history of sound.
So in my next
the
note...
most lauded episode in softcore history.
Yeah. In... This is great radio.
It's because you're rearranging the mic before
I'm not
into a fashion that I've never seen it.
I'm not doing anything with it, man.
It was pre-show.
Okay. Well, now I got to sit, like...
You don't.
Okay. Cool.
There you go.
So yeah, I have done some episodes in the past that are like history of sound or history of pets, and I think we all realized I was kind of mailing those in when I didn't have a topic, and
The broader, the better.
yeah, I didn't want to approach history.
Wait, isn't history of sound one like our most listened to episode?
It is, but it's also one of our worst episodes ever.
It's content-wise bad. It's just the history of recorded sound.
But that just proves that the people yearn for terrible content.
What if
Yeah.
we just had like some really spicy takes about sound, and that's why people liked it so
sound
much?
isn't
Wasn't
even
true.
real.
We're like, man, fuck sound.
It's the
There's
worst.
too much
sense.
sound in America. Send
Yeah.
it back.
Jake loves himself a broad topic. He's done spices. the
History of
spice.
spices, history of pets, and history of sound. I think are my big three of broad topics.
Unfortunately, some of the, again, most listened to episodes of the
Because
show.
people just generally want to know how things happened. Like they're like, how did we get here?
Yeah, that's true. Nobody wants to hear about some like at random executioner's diary from the 1400s.
That's sick, though.
I know.
That's
but
the
no
stuff
one
I
cares.
want to hear about.
No
That's
one
what this
cares.
show's supposed to be, man.
Yeah.
It's
Well-
supposed to be obscure.
Coming next week for me, the history of walls.
The history of paint drying. But yeah, no, I just was in a bread baking mood, and I've just done a lot more research on bread as of late. So today, fuck it. Welcome to History of Bread. We're here.
That seems slightly narrower than
Okay.
history of sound. And
So the history of bread started when God rained manna from the sky for Moses.
bro, they're eating bread already.
Episode over. That's how bread is made.
Not
God
it.
rains it down.
God rained down bread. That was the invention of bread. In the desert on the way to.
That would be funny if you thought that and your wife was just hiding in vents, throwing fucking bread at you in your house.
That would be funny.
You're like, I'm gonna make a sourdough, and then you just stood there. She had to find a sourdough.
It's
God-
raining bread.
God,
Yeah.
please, God.
Hallelujah! It's raining bread.
There is a loaf of bread I brought in today as well. That is a traditional pain au levain, which basically literally is just French for leavened bread. It's your classic sourdough bread you would get at any artisan bakery. But
No, I wouldn't because I don't eat bread.
oh well, this bread's great and you'll love it.
I'm keto, bro.
No, you're not. I just watched you eat a biscuit.
I know it was good.
Thanks. But yeah, while this is the standard idea of what good traditional bread is, it has taken tens of thousands of years for the process of making that type of bread to develop. For reference, that one loaf of bread.
You want me to
has-
go get it? We can show it to the
Yeah,
camera.
go grab it.
Yeah, I'll grab it.
Go grab
Show
it.
Jake's bread.
While Dan grabs it, for reference, this one loaf of bread has only 3 ingredients. It's water, salt, and flour. Some people say, oh, there's yeast in there too. That's just wild yeast. That's not added commercial yeast.
Right.
That is yeast from the air. So, yeah, Dan's bringing it on camera right now.
Look at this bread.
Yeah, it is you can see the ear on there. Very nice. You
Look
can
at that.
pop the crumb open if you would like, Dan. You can
Oh
show
my
them the
God.
inside.
I can't handle these bread terms.
Yeah. You don't like that crumb shot right there?
The ear and the crumb.
Yeah.
So fucking.
He literally interviewed with Easy Tiger
I
and
know.
thought about taking a job for like $10 an hour.
I got an
making
offer
bread.
to take job at Easy Tiger. I was offered a job.
You're gonna be the night shift guy.
I was going to be the night shift guy, yeah.
Granted, do they make bread during the day? I feel like it's only at night.
They make it they make it nonstop just
Look at
because
that
they have
crevice.
they have
Look at that
Yeah, they sell it
crust.
in like hundreds of stores here.
well, they sell it at HEB's. Is
Yeah.
the thing. Like all the grocery stores also have a deal with Easy Tiger for their sourdough.
I personally like my bread to last months.
well, unfortunately, that bread will last about 4 days.
Useless.
Not if you eat it fast. That bread you can eat every day though, too.
Hmm.
But anyway,
Except 5 days from now.
Yeah. Every day for the next 4 days, you can eat that bread.
that's right.
We need preservatives in our food.
I agree.
I'll be real.
Preservatives keep you alive longer. People don't realize that. They're
Keeps us younger.
They're preservatives.
Oh, I'm sorry. 84 out of 85 foods in the supermarket have plastic in them.
Yeah.
Again, it's making us better.
Guess
I'm
what never
stronger.
decomposes? Guess what never goes away?
We're
Plastic.
recycling our organs.
I'm becoming immortal,
Uh-huh.
slowly but surely.
I told you guys on the group chat that we have that the point of having plastics in your food is that we can eventually recycle people into food. That way, you get enough plastic in the people, then the people can be food too.
Yeah, the street sweeper
Yeah.
takes you in.
It's
Yeah.
all coming back.
You get sucked up in there, and
But that bread right there, while it has a ton of technique in making it,
All right, don't give yourself that
no,
much
I will.
credit.
It takes a long time.
it's just 3 ingredients.
It's just 3 ingredients, and it pretty much always has been 3 ingredients, right? Like,
You know what's more impressive? A Papa John's pizza.
you know what? I'm not going to disagree with that. They have mass-produced pizza in a good way.
with fresh ingredients.
better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's, no
Yeah.
free reads.
They-
Shaquille
now they're
O'Neal.
cucking Pizza Hut on stuffed crust.
You and
Wait,
Pizza
they're
Hut.
doing what?
They're cucking Pizza Hut.
Oh, Papa John's is?
Yeah, they got stuffed crust now.
Dude,
Pizza Hut doesn't own stuffed
They
crust
don't.
pizza.
They invented it.
they did invent it. That was a cheese subsidy. You know that, right? Like the whole reason stuffed crust, like cheese pizza is invented is
Yeah, it's
like
big cheese.
it really was. The government was like big cheese, I guess, needed. They had a bunch of surplus of cheese
Yeah.
because of the war and stuff. And, like we have all of this like whatever grade cheese.
What war?
The World War II. You know how much cheese we made for that?
Sick.
The Gulf
Yeah.
War.
There is
Well, that's more timeline with the
We
stuffed
got
crust
so
pizza.
much cheese from
No,
the Gulf War.
since like World War II, like they were using World War II cheese in the fucking Vietnam War and stuff like that.
So what you're telling me is, much like the Purple Heart,
Yeah, no.
we've been using the same stockpile of cheese
Rob,
in America
we
since
were-
World
Yes,
War II.
yes.
We're saving France. We're rewarded just this entire block of cheese. That
People don't realize.
No,
Yeah.
there is still like
it's currently in lockdown.
Next to NORAD in Colorado.
you are so close to being correct on that. It's surprising.
We have a national bank of cheese.
We do. We have a ton of cheese. Like there is a bunch of cheese
Is that-
in storage.
People forget that's our new currency reserve.
Cheese,
Yeah.
dairy. It's good. Keeps you from having diarrhea.
Gold's useless.
Yeah, cheese you can
What does
eat.
gold do?
the
Can't eat
economy
gold.
runs on cheese.
Yeah, you can eat cheese.
Liquid gold. That's Velveeta.
That's why
But no, that's why
Wisconsin's the most valuable asset in this country.
It is. But that's why you like around the time of stuffed crust pizza, there are a couple other like quick, easy, mass producible like stuffed cheese and that shit foods.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey,
This cheese is going bad.
we need to use this cheese.
That's really fucking
Yeah.
funny. Why not just? Oh man, is that what government cheese is from too?
Yeah, that is 1,000% where
So
government
like
cheese
in
is from.
Don't Be a Menace, when she pulls out government cheese and is melting it on his chest in that sex scene.
Yeah,
That's World War II cheese.
it's World War II cheese.
Sweet.
It's old war cheese.
Getting that cheddar, baby.
You're actually getting a free lesson right now on cheese that you did not expect in the bread episode. So you're welcome. That's
This
doubling
is
down.
now cheesy bread.
I could have put cheese.
I mean,
in
I'll
there,
probably
just-
make a grilled cheese out of that.
Oh, it's gonna be great for that.
Well, you got 4 days, so
Yeah,
But-
I gotta act fast.
The process of making bread has always been pretty incredibly labor intensive until the late or mid 1900s, really. Not only does the bread take a long time to make by hand, but now consider the amount of work it takes to actually make the raw ingredients.
They had all day. What else are they going to do?
That's all they did. That's all they did. We'll get to that in a minute.
It didn't work.
But white bread flour, that's a process of making. Collecting water, that's a process. Gathering salt, that's a process. And gathering those ingredients now is the easiest it's ever been.
Yeah.
That's in your pantry now. It's easy to get water and flour and bread.
Yeah. So for anyone who's like, it used to be better, it never.
Oh, it was way harder. Actually, Dan's going to hate bread so much by the end of this episode.
I think I could feel it already.
No, I love bread. I'm going to hate you.
No, you're going to hate bread too. Don't worry. You might just hate wheat.
What if you just eat that whole loaf before the episode's over?
I mean, it'll be fine because...
You can put it away. You don't have to keep spinning it.
No, I like him Vanna Whiting the bread all
Just
day.
Vanna Whiting the bread.
That's what the people are here for. What if someone just... We have this weird subsect of new viewers because they want to jack off to this bread.
To you spinning the bread in particular.
You're a bread boy.
Look at that entrance right
There's
there.
also some softened butter on the counter.
Put your
if you
dick
want.
in that bread.
we do have several people trying to make Jake their bread pig.
Yeah, it's funny. They're always like, what
we need pay pigs. Certainly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
This show needs to grow. Or at least just monetarily.
Just in revenue,
Yeah.
not in like viewers. I don't care if we gain another follower as long as the revenue goes up.
Pay us, you little pigs.
Yeah, patreon.com/softcorehistory. But, so in order to get a complete scope of where bread started and its impact on history, we need to talk about two things in particular. Wheat and labor.
Okay.
And their respective history in relation to our history.
And why it's racist.
It's not. Well, labor can be, I'm guessing, but
No, just the wheat.
wheat is not.
The
Wheat
slave
is,
labor's fine.
first things first.
Yeah, that's a rainbow of labor.
That's right. Everyone's harvested wheat at one point in history.
Oppression tastes so delicious.
It's really good. If that's oppressive.
There's not enough oppression. I mean, I assume Jake smacked his dog at some point while making it, but that's just not.
Maybe yelled at his wife.
That's not going to do it for me.
Don't ask what I'm doing.
Jake, it's been 6 months. Can you get a job?
No! I'm an artisan baker.
You didn't even take the bread job.
Get out! Why would I? It was $2 more an hour than being paid unemployment. It's like, I'm going to just not work.
I'm going to collect that
Painstaking.
government check.
By the way,
government cheese,
by the way,
baby.
that's not being. It's actually extremely like libertarian and conservative and patriotic to be on unemployment because you're making the government your pay pig.
That's right. Also, I already paid for this. I paid for that service for years.
Took it out of my check. I'm just getting my money back.
I'm getting
damn
my
it.
money back. That's all I'm doing.
Not a penny more.
Yeah.
I did the math.
I had to get on the TWC phone line and explain to them how how being paid through a podcast wasn't like having a real wage. It's like, this is totally
Why are
random.
you
That should be
reporting
self-explanatory.
Yeah.
In no world should you report this.
I know. I'm probably gonna stop. I had to explain to the oldest person I've ever talked to.
Why are you talking to anyone? I didn't have to report any of the jobs.
They
I
wouldn't
applied
pay
for.
me. They wouldn't pay me.
I
They were
was-
like,
You make things up.
I totally
Commit
get it.
fraud.
Okay, fine.
It's so much easier. They don't check.
As
don't
long
wanna-
as
they
you
don't wanna
fill
know.
it out.
They don't want
They
to
just
know.
don't want blank spaces.
Yeah. Anywho, first things first, while we don't know exactly when humans started farming their own wheat, we don't know the exact moment, we know that humans have been doing it for thousands of years. In fact,
Like, what's the start time? Like 5,000 BC, 10,000 BC.
when we started farming wheat,
Yeah.
What if
um,
bread was invented before?
so we think that it might have been cultivated as early as 9600 BC
Okay. Yeah.
in the Fertile Crescent.
Mainstream archaeologists think that.
But
I'm here to
what
tell you
if-
bread was invented before.
What if it was
Ah!
Yeah,
We're
but that's just everything.
we're getting
What if it was earlier? It can't be later. It can't be later. If you've already found it at a date, it can't be
later.
It can't be later.
They
So
lied
if
about the
you just
bread.
want to say,
they lied about bread.
Well,
you just
It was way later.
Yeah.
It could have been later. It could be like these people that are dinosaur truthers. I don't care what the bones say. They're not real to me.
I mean, yeah, I guess. But yeah, from the archaeological record, we estimate that it was likely cultivated around 9600 BC in the Mesopotamia, Fertile Crescent area. Before that, though, we were still eating wild wheat. And we know we used to eat wild wheat because hunter-gatherers in West Asia based on findings we found there, harvested wild wheats as early as 21,000 BC.
Okay.
So early prehistory humans
So they just find it, grab it, make it bread, or use it for something else.
eat it.
Eat it. Okay.
Eat the kernels.
Yeah.
They would eat the kernels, right? And so that was the next point. Is
Who
what
even figured this out? Is the
that's what this whole episode's about.
Sick freak.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
What if
historians.
it's just a punishment? They're like, hey, what's the worst thing I can do? Hey, grind these kernels till it's dust. Why? Don't ask why.
It's a punishment.
Just shut up and do it.
Historians speculate that primitive people probably chewed wheat kernels to turn them into powder in their mouths
Okay.
before they learned to pound them into flour or soak them to soften the kernels later.
Were they making bread in their mouths? Was it like getting a margarita poured in your mouth at a bar?
Mhm.
Tequila.
It was kind of like you were making mouth porridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta imagine wild wheat kernel. One, it's really spiky and hard and sucks, so you're sitting there chewing it for a while. But
That's actually what Coyote Ugly started with.
What?
just kernels.
Just kernels in your mouth.
That was the first ever Coyote Ugly.
was a dried
21,000 BC.
It's dried corn kernel
Yeah.
just in your mouth.
But she chews it and baby birds you and then pours
Yep.
water in.
that's kind of hot.
And then
actually.
That is
slaps
pretty
you.
hot.
She
Yeah.
spits
calls
it in
you
your
a
mouth.
dirty little pay pig.
Here's my mouth porridge.
All right.
But we were also just harvesting the shit out of wild wheat because kernels, held energy well and didn't spoil quickly. So we started figuring out it was a pretty good winter resource. It's something we could keep.
Right.
Um,
When the buffalo leaves
yeah, pretty much.
or whatever.
When the
whatever they're
migration
hunting.
stops.
When the
yeah.
mammoth leaves.
Whenever the thing stops being in the field.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Were
for a long
mammoths kind of bitches?
Mammoths?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Why are they extinct?
We killed them.
We hunted them
Yes,
like
so
a motherfucker.
confirmed bitches.
Well, we're bringing them back.
They're huge.
We're
I
bringing
know.
them
We're
back.
bringing them back to stomp down the permafrost.
Yeah.
I guess. If they're just going to be on a ranch in Texas to hunt.
Right. It's just elephants
You're some
with
guy.
fur.
Hey,
no?
Yeah. Yes.
Hey,
Pretty
Just
much.
put a jacket on an elephant.
you want to come out to the corporate retreat? We're killing a mammoth.
It seems easier to just transport these elephants, put jackets on them.
What if someone claimed they cloned a mammoth and just glued fur to an elephant and got CEOs to get on it on their
All
ranch?
right.
That's
Get out
pube
here.
hair on it.
They just Abe Lincoln a fucking elephant.
There was that one guy, I forget who it was. Actually, it might have been Eric Trump. It's a lot of people, so I'm not gonna.
With the dentist.
It's just like you basically get your hand held, walking right up to a dying animal and
Yeah.
then blow it away.
As you poach an animal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pay for poach.
Yeah.
You can pay. We have a friend that told us basically if you have enough money, no reserve's gonna be you can't kill that animal. They'd be all right, that's gonna help us save a lot more.
We
animals.
also have a
Yeah.
friend that you can hunt a human.
Wait, really?
Yeah, for the right price. You just kill poachers.
You go to Africa
Oh.
and hunt the poachers.
That's awesome.
I know. I'm kind of into that.
It's
And for what it's for, if anyone
about
thinks
80
if
grand.
anyone thinks that's fucked up, let me just say, poachers do shit like cut the horns off of live rhinos with a chainsaw.
Yeah.
So
One of the
Fuck 'em.
rhinos just technically went extinct.
Was it the black rhino?
No, it was a white.
I thought they were inseminating her.
No, it's technically extinct now. There's
Eh.
only one or two left.
Oh, and they can't mate.
Yeah.
Whatever, we'll clone them. It's fine. What are we
That's
even
what
worried
cloning's
about anymore?
for. Yeah. Speaking of cloning, Netflix recommendation. They just dropped a Ryle documentary.
A what?
Ryleism documentary.
Oh,
They get Ryle the prophet on the documentary.
that's the swastika Jewish thing.
yeah. That's
Yeah,
the UFO cult.
Yeah. With their symbol is the Star of David with a swastika inside of it.
Yeah.
Confusing everyone.
We did
Just-
we did an episode on that.
I think that was a Patreon episode.
Was that Patreon?
Yeah,
Okay.
but great interview.
Yeah,
Series.
their founder's still alive.
Yeah, he's in Japan.
So the reason we even did that episode, I think, is because I saw a Prius driving
You
around
saw it with the star.
with the symbol, the Star of David with the swastika inside, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck that is, but that is insane. And then I texted it
That's
to
quite the coexist bumper. sticker.
Yeah.
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 It's the one that goes, excuse me, what? No, but you texted us. I was like, oh, that's Ryleism.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
knew what it was, and I was like, yeah, that was a new one for me.
Yeah, no, that is one of the most insane cults.
Should we
ever.
sell a coexist bumper sticker with?
It's just a Ryle, dude. I don't want to fuck. I don't want their attention.
Yeah, no.
they're creepy.
I don't really want the smoke of
That.
anything to do with Israel right now.
No.
I just want to stand back.
Yep. Same.
Let the literal dust settle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anywho, our first processed food ever was likely porridge. So what they would do, primitive humans, they would soak the wild grains and heat them up to get a softened kernel mash, basically.
Right.
They started figuring that out pretty quick. So porridge is the first food ever really cooked. First, like, processed food. Not like cooked meat over a fire.
Right,
or just meat to fire. This is like something that is broken down or like, changed from its original state quite a bit, but it's still a product. But the funnest fact of this early history stuff is bread actually predates the cultivation of grain.
Yeah, they were making bread out of wild stuff before.
They were making out of wild stuff.
That makes more sense because then it's like, shit, this bread or porridge or whatever is super useful. We're getting it from the wild stuff. What if we start
growing?
Because we know that, sure, they have an awareness of seeds.
Yes, we'll get to that in a moment. But yeah.
I want to hunt my wheat.
Well, you will never be able to because there is no more wild wheat.
God damn it.
Yeah. And I don't think you would
This is what they took from us.
You wouldn't enjoy it.
This is what they took from us right here. See this?
But it's right in front of you.
This is what they took from us.
What do you mean they took it from you? You have it. It's in your hand.
I feel like I can't eat it right now, though.
Well, you can't because you have to show it off.
Yeah.
But, charred crumbs of a flatbread made by Natufian hunter-gatherers from wild wheat, wild barley, and plant roots were found. They dated these crumbs at 14,600 years old to 11,600 years ago.
Okay.
So 11,600 would be right about exactly when we started cultivating wheat.
Okay.
So
and that's about, I think that's like 1,000 years before Karahan Tepe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we've known about mashing this shit together and heating it for a long time. This was found in Jordan, by the way, in the Black Desert. So this would be really close to Karahan Tepe too.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is proof that bread production predates wheat cultivation by thousands of years. So archaeologists, for whatever reason, think that this was likely a rare occasion food, like a special treat. These little like flatbreads. They would just mash this shit up and slap it on the inside of a hot wall,
Like
kind of like a tandoori oven. Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure why they think it was a special treat because, like, to me, I think they probably baked it. It was like, oh, now I have portable porridge. Yeah, like that makes the most sense to me. It's cooked. It's hard. I don't have to worry about a bowl.
I don't know why they would think that. I mean, it's a theory. Like, it's not like a bad theory necessarily, but
no.
I don't know why that would take precedence over them doing it regularly. If the only evidence you have that it wasn't done regularly is that you haven't found more spots.
Yeah, that's not.
Well, how many spots? Like, it's
14,000 years old.
Right.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
for the hunter-gatherer on the go.
Exactly. It's the first granola bar.
The first Cliff Bar.
It's the first Cliff Bar. It's a shitty flatbread.
The world runs on Dunkin'.
It was weird. The scoring in the bread was a D and a D. Either way, to save some really intensive biological history of wheat, what ended up happening was we harvested the best wheats over thousands of years. Repeated harvesting and sowing of the grains of wild grasses led to the creation of domestic strains. Obviously, we were eating the ones that were the easiest to break down in our mouths, shitting those out.
Mm-hmm.
And so those seeds get
populated. Hey, this stuff growing where I pooped.
Pretty much.
Yeah. By the way, I was gonna say we stand on the shoulders of just incredible people, but really we're like blobfish on the shoulders of incredible people. The ones you pull out of the ocean. It's like, whoa. Like that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
We've had this whole insane thing built up for us just so we can be like, I mean, we're the trust fund kids of history.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
It's fucking insane.
So yeah, over thousands of years of just eating and shitting wheat and harvesting it and sowing it and reaping it, the wheat continues to get better for humans the more we eat it.
Yeah.
So
is it evolving to be better for humans?
It's a two-way street on that.
Because that's the thing. The wheat gets more replicated more.
Yeah.
So it's helping the wheat's replication, which is all really any cell wants to do.
It's really good for... I'm about to get into a very long argument for why wheat probably evolved us as much as we evolved
until
wheat.
all the hoes got gluten allergies.
Until all the hoes got gluten allergies. And that is probably due to high process, like hyper processing, more so than gluten being bad for you.
One day wheat just wakes up and it's like, what am I?
Yeah, we eat and harvest this wild wheat so much that we likely change the way we as people and wheat exist as species together forever.
With a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, think about it for just a second. 10,000 years ago, wheat was just a wild grass in like one part of the world, just the Fertile Crescent. That was it. It was a unique
there
grass.
There wasn't any wheat in the United States or anything?
Nope. Not even native. Wheat is native to one place historically, and that is the Fertile Crescent.
Oh, shit. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And now we're the breadbasket of the world.
Over the course of just...
And the other main wheat producers are Russia and Ukraine.
Yeah. There's a great map. You can look it up if you go to like if you Google like wheat growing history, like it all starts in that like arch right around
The Fertile Crescent.
the Fertile Crescent, and then over time it's just like explodes across like your temperate climates.
They have
basically.
since replaced it with heroin.
Heroin is doing well. Heroin's doing well for sure. But yeah, wheat has become one of the most successful plants in history of the earth. In areas such as the Great Plains of North America, where not a single wheat stalk grew 10,000 years ago, you can today walk for hundreds of miles without encountering any other plant than wheat. Like,
wait, could you make heroin bread?
no, heroin. So heroin is made. I don't know if I'm allowed to say how it's produced on a live show, but I'm going to do it anyway. Heroin is grown like it comes from the opium poppy, and what happens is you score the stalk,
Mm-hmm.
and then the gel of the stalk, like the ooze that comes out when you score it,
Yeah.
that's dried, and that's opium.
Okay.
And then that is I don't know the synthesization process, so I probably won't get in trouble here. But
Oh shit,
that
the
is,
feds are here.
yeah, it synthesizes down. You synthesize that opium down into heroin.
Okay.
Yeah,
But it's like a powder, right?
it can be powdered when it's dried, but it's not like
Yeah.
it's not a starchy powder.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just want to eat heroin bread.
I mean, I'm sure I could put.
I'm sure
heroin
you can
in
get
bread
some in Afghanistan.
What if I just get a bunch of fentanyl pills?
and grind it into a powder.
Yeah. And then make bread.
It's not going to make bread.
I think
it's
you
gonna
last-
be like a banana bread style. Like it's gonna
Does
be.
banana
you
bread's
might start
delicious.
convulsing within 30 seconds.
You would need to mix it with the powder for sure, too, or you would need to mix it with flour. Like you need something to
Alright.
create a structure.
just want
there.
to make pure fentanyl bread.
You can't make pure fentanyl bread.
Stupid.
I think
We
just
get a-
looking
we
at
get
it
a-
might kill you.
We get a listener that sends in just a hey man, I made the fentanyl bread.
Do not do that.
Please don't do that.
Please don't.
Do not come. Do not come.
So yeah, it makes a lot of people, this fact that it's grown so much and spread across the world so much, question if wheat actually domesticated us more than we domesticated wheat. And the author of Sapiens, that
Yeah.
book, has a pretty big argument for it.
Yeah, it's like The Last of Us, but it's not fungus. It's wheat.
It's wheat, right? So his argument is that we had been living a fairly comfortable life hunting and gathering until the wheat got better. And then we started to invest more and more effort in cultivating.
So all
wheat.
human suffering is because of wheat.
That's his
The
argument.
wheat's just like, grow me.
Well, yeah, the probiotics in your stomach, which again, second brain of the body,
Yeah.
control you.
Right. And wheat does have an effect on your internal microbiome. With gluten does especially. Like people with gluten intolerances, that shit, like the little silica
They're the
or
only
cilia,
ones awake, man.
the ones with the cilia that move food through your system,
Yeah.
like those people, when gluten interacts with it, it kills it. So it's like their food, they have lots of indigestion problems. It can send them to the hospital.
They're just independent thinkers.
They're slowing us down. If you can't eat the thing that built civilization, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Like,
Off to the side.
yeah.
Jake, what do you think we should do with them?
We made gluten-free stuff for them.
Should they reproduce?
I don't care.
Should they be castrated,
Not at all.
Sent to camps?
put into camps?
No.
Drowned.
I would never do that.
Underwater camps.
So anyway, I'm not continuing this.
Gluten tolerant camps?
We're gluten intolerant.
Just learning to be tolerant.
Yeah, tolerance
gluten.
camps, gluten tolerance camps. But yeah, his argument, we had this comfortable life hunting and gathering, and once the wheat started getting better, we started putting more effort into cultivating, and thus the agricultural revolution is born. And that essentially creates unnatural labor for men. Now, what does he mean by unnatural labor? Think about it this way. Wheat requires fields to be cleared and other plants to be removed from its space to prevent nutrient loss to the wheat. So men and women labored long days weeding under really hot suns and clearing land, moving rocks, getting the rocks off
Shit
the
that
dirt.
we would not be doing otherwise.
The
We
shit
would be
we-
like, dude, it's hot out. Stay in the shade.
Yeah, chill out. We'll get something later. We'll
Yeah.
go gather when it's cooler. It also requires water to grow wheat.
Right.
So people had to start lugging water to their wheat fields. That, when it first starts out, is backbreaking labor. I mean, that is like,
Mm.
you're not meant to do that as a person.
Sounds
carry
like nobody
heavy
wants
loads.
to work.
Yeah.
The heaviest load you're supposed to carry is probably a child or a-
Boy, I carry so many heavy loads. Countless.
Are you
I'll
talking
have
poops
lo-
or
I'll-
nuts?
I'll have heavy loads until I'm probably like 85, 90.
You talking poo-poos?
I don't think so.
You think it's talking nuts?
Yeah, I think you're gonna be.
You think I'm shooting just nothing?
Oh, okay, so it's nuts. Got
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna be spitting spittle by the time you're 80. Just a little. Yeah. Think you're gonna be blasting loads like you're 30. Yeah, right.
I can't talk shit to you. Every time you have sex with your wife, you have a child.
Yeah, you want to talk?
Yeah.
You want to talk to a guy with loads over here?
Dust in the wind. Anyway, all this backbreaking labor compared to killing something or just pulling shit off of a plant that was already growing is pretty significant.
It's so there's a deep irony in it too, in like the existence of humans, right? So we're doing this thing where we just sit around all day. I mean, look, there's bad parts. Obviously, you cut your foot, you're dead or something. You know, but,
totally.
But like, you know, you're sitting around all day chilling. You go out. It's just vibes, man. We made that fun of that tweet or whatever. Just vibes in Paleolithic times. Neolithic would be farming. So Paleolithic.
It'd
times.
be Paleolithic.
And then we're doing all this work, and now basically our only goal is just to get back to doing as little as possible.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But now we can do it without dying of an infection and all of our infants and women dying in childbirth.
We took the long way.
Check it out. We might also still die from that.
What?
Those people that want to live that life, maybe they pass on the same medications and
Yeah,
modern
they probably
medicine.
do. I want to live that life, but indoors.
Interesting. That life doesn't exist indoors.
Sure
That
it
life
does.
is only outside.
No. I mean, I just want to lay around and do nothing.
Oh, yeah, you can do that. It's just being sedentary.
Yeah.
The other thing about wheat is that it's defenseless against other things that like to eat it. So, rabbits, locusts, swarms,
Right.
things like that. So, people had to guard and protect it. The new agricultural tasks demanded so much time, and people needed to protect their crop, so inevitably, people were forced to settle permanently next to their wheat fields.
They couldn't just let it, go keep wandering.
The joke,
They didn't have private security.
They invented it.
they invented it for this. All labor, all of our concept of work comes from wheat. The concept of labor comes from wheat.
This sounds like a Jake fact.
It's not, man. I mean, I'm sure there was labor and other things. Like, I'm sure they were
Clip
fortified.
it. We're gonna clip this.
Ugh.
It's gonna be so wrong.
I mean, that's not technically true. They were building
Structures
and houses and stuff
They had
prior
some
to
sort of
prior
shelter.
to wheat,
Yeah, but like it wasn't
prior
like
to farming.
I think the amount of like the concept of like daily work is with wheat and agriculture though. And not just wheat, but potatoes, I think corn, any sort of like growth of plant
Okay.
that you have to maintain. But
I would
wheat,
call it maybe more like the standardization of labor
sure,
than the invention
and
of
hard
it.
labor at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, sure, yeah, going and killing something is a labor.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and building. I mean, and they also built. I mean, like, I think in Paleolithic times, certainly they did what seemed like laborious artwork, for example, or laborious.
What, you mean those stick figures they drew in the caves?
No, man. There's carving. There's big carvings and stuff
I
like
don't know what you're
that.
talking about, man. It all started with wheat. You guys are wrong.
I respect that.
Yeah. So, what does domesticate mean? It comes from domus, which means
Dominate
house.
house. Okay.
Domus. Who ended up living in the house? Us or the wheat?
Hmm.
Makes
the
you think.
The wheat domesticated us.
Wheat domesticated us.
That is
Dan.
really funny. If
Yeah.
we are Last of Us by wheat. Does wheat have a thing? So I'm sure maybe you heard this before, but like cats have shit that gets into your brain.
Mm-hmm.
Wheat?
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that it's food makes your brain light up like crazy.
Okay, but yeah, when you're around cats,
Oh,
They-
it makes you like wanna.
be around cats more because they have like some sort of. Germ
We don't
or
have like a
something.
toxoplasma situation with wheat that we know of.
Okay.
It's just that it makes really sustainable food.
Okay.
Yeah, wheat's
and
not
people-
shitting inside
people
a
don't like
box
being
in
hungry.
Your house.
People hate being hungry.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had to build houses, be still, and start working a lot
Okay.
harder.
We already built houses
We had-
prior to that.
We built more.
okay.
We built more. Like we had, I think, houses, but like,
Because I think there were probably I'm almost positive on this. It's not like the entire world was necessarily hunter gatherer. Like if you lived near, say, a river or a part of a shoreline that was always rich with fish.
yeah, you just stayed still.
Right.
Yeah. No, why would you move? But yeah, okay. So we at least were a lot more still as a people, as a species. Across the board, we were building more houses. We were settling down a lot more. We were working a lot harder. So much so that ancient skeletons indicate the transition to agriculture brought about ailments such as like the agricultural revolution is when we start seeing things like slipped discs
Yeah.
and like hernias and like fucked up feet,
Dogs,
collapsing
they were
arches.
just starting to deadlift. That's what it was.
Yeah, they were deadlifting.
Terrible form.
They were deadlifting water buckets
Mhm.
to the fields, right?
Just all back.
And the question becomes like, what did this shit offer if we were like way more chilled out
Yeah.
and this was way harder? Why did something so much harder than what we were doing become so prevalent? And individually, person to person, wheat benefited no one. It benefited no single person that much because the amount of work was insane. However, what it did do was offer more stable and consistent food for our social groups and tribes as a whole. We're already social people at this point. We're
Right.
living in tribes of probably around 100
It's for
to
the greater good,
150.
Jake.
Yeah.
See this
Yeah.
right here? The greater good.
That's right.
Great to good.
So this wheat cultivation allowed us to multiply rapidly and stay alive even under some of the shittiest conditions like changes in herd migration or wild vegetation famine
Yeah.
or long winters or things like that. And that allowed us to stay alive. So, while we did grow, we exploded as a species because of this. We also ended up working a lot harder for it.
Got to grind.
Yeah. And it's definitely like a shift from, hey, just get stuff like you're doing your little thing to we are all working on this thing to make this work.
Everyone's on their grind.
So with all this wheat they're making porridge and essentially flatbreads like tortillas or chapati is probably the closest Indian example, not naan because naan leavens a little bit. So how do we get to traditional leavened sourdough bread of today from this shit we were harvesting, tens of thousands of years ago to make kernel porridge in our mouth,
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple theories, and they all start in pre-dynastic Egypt around 6000 BC. So
Egypt invented sourdough bread.
pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
That's what the consensus is right now.
What were they eating? Wait, and what'd you say? 6,000 BC?
6000 BC, pre-dynastic.
Yeah. Okay. So that's pre-Sumer as well. So this is not even a civilization yet at this point.
It's
I mean, it is.
It's a
but
civilization.
Was
it's
there
just,
sourdough bread before the pyramids?
It's prehistoric though, right?
oh yeah, it's prehistory.
Pre-writing. Prehistory just means before writing.
Before writing, which was
How long have the pyramids been around?
3000 BC. Was writing?
3 or 4,000 BC.
Yeah,
And the pyramids were like 2,000 BC,
yeah.
2,500 BC, something like
bread,
that. 2,200
It'd be
BC.
kind of insane if we built the pyramids before sourdough bread.
That would be nuts. Yeah, but it wouldn't be that crazy. So there's a couple theories around how this got started. The main staple of the diet, for the most part, like I said, was porridge and flatbread, like super flatbread, non-leavened. The
or
most
perhaps porridge taco.
porridge in a flatbread.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the shittiest, the bread sandwich, if you will, of the time,
No, dude, it's just a fucking bread bowl at Olive Garden.
with more bread in
Panera,
it.
you mean?
It's a Panera bread bowl.
Olive
Yeah.
Garden has it too.
Oh, they
I'm
do.
sure they do. Yeah.
That makes sense.
It's like
Bread-
the soup
wait.
bowls.
But they should do a breadstick bowl.
Well-
Differentiate themselves.
You know
Why
about
wouldn't you
the-
just add breadsticks on top of the bread bowl?
No, the whole thing.
It's breadsticks?
You glue the breadsticks together with some sort of.
Just glue.
Yeah, glue is probably fine.
Just glue. It's Olive Garden. It's
yeah,
just Elmer's,
just
man.
It's fine.
Yeah. So the most common three theories are these. Number one, someone left flatbread dough in the sun and it rose. Pretty easy to see how that one could be there. And
Right.
they're like, oh, weird. Throw it in the fire.
That's basically the theory with alcohol too. It's like an accident.
Yeah.
Someone
It rained
comes
in a barley vat.
Yeah.
And they're like, whoa,
This is the best thing.
I've ever had.
Yeah.
That's actually happened with Jesus too. They didn't put him in the tomb. They left him out in the sun and he rose.
He rose.
Oh, I thought you were about to say that someone just left their sperm on a chair.
But baby was
No, Mary
rose.
sat on it.
And it rose.
Yeah.
Sat on the toilet and
Actually, to make a starter from scratch, it does take about 3 days for it to rise.
just connecting dots here.
Yeah, just asking
asking questions. Number two, someone left porridge. This is my favorite one. Someone left porridge in a corner for too long. They were lazy. Like someone, it was a guy. He was not done with his porridge. He was like, fuck it, this porridge tastes like ass.
Yeah.
Put it in a corner, didn't clean the dish. He's like, wife will do it, something like that. And that rose. And-
That is the best theory.
And the wife, I'm guessing, or whoever was in the house with him,
Yeah.
was like, that fucking asshole, and just threw the bowl in the fire. And it rose.
Yeah.
And it turned into bread.
So you can thank laziness.
Yes.
Or it rained in an open porridge flour container, and got gross. Someone decided to, again, throw it in the fire. All of it is
And all
like,
of a
oh,
sudden it was
weird,
like,
fire.
bread.
Yeah. Well, it's not important to know exactly how it was discovered. It is what we discovered, which is incredibly important. Some type of combo of heat and time allows shit porridge and shit flatbread to double or even triple in volume. This is a magical moment. We just doubled our food.
Jesus. Back to Jesus.
Yeah.
Turning one loaf into fucking 40 loaves.
What if Jesus is just a
baker?
iteration of
Yeah.
the story of a baker over and over?
You see this? One loaf. One loaf. One loaf here. Now, 0 loaves.
The food was also more nutritious too. So when you're adding water to flour and kneading it, that's how gluten is created. Gluten is 2 proteins that are bonded together through the agitation of it in water.
Through smashing.
Yeah, through smashing it in water. Basically, it makes them sticky, right? So you're creating a protein now. So that's more beneficial than
Not
just
a lot of protein though.
It's more than none, which is incredible. Like just you're adding, it's infinitely more protein, right?
All things considered.
Like, so you're adding protein, you're adding minerals too by having the fermentation process going on. So you're having minerals, vitamins, things that really help enrich the diet are being created with this leavened bread process now. And
then how long do you have to wait till it just turns into alcohol?
alcohol, I don't know. Alcohol is a long time.
You just wait long enough.
Yeah, I mean, yeast is there's alcohol creation happening when you're making bread. All yeast does is turn sugar into alcohol. So that's what yeast does. But that process creates gases which allow the breads to rise as well. And then the gluten that you're making while kneading is creating the structure that allows the bread to rise without breaking, basically. Once we figured all that out, people got to exploring and trying different things and sharing knowledge. Different bakers from different locales had different processes, and the bread was a defining regional thing as well. So as much as there were like, oh, people like that look like that or sound like that are from Italy, they also eat bread like this.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very like, kind of like beer too, like the local alcohol
different
as well.
styles of beer.
Yeah. So for instance, speaking of beer, the Gauls and Iberians used foam skimmed from beer to produce a lighter kind of bread than other people. So they realized that there was a connection in fermentation. Whereas parts of the ancient world that drank wine instead of beer used a paste composed of grape must and flour that was allowed to begin fermenting, or wheat bran steeped in wine as a source of yeast. This experimentation leads to baking becoming a profession of sorts, and by the 5th century BC, bread could be purchased in Athens from a baker's shop. That was over the course of a few thousand years that people were like, you have to...
Literally 5,500 years.
Yeah, they were like...
5,500.
That's all, or only like... I'm sure there's other bakers. You know, we have recordings... before specialized bake shops of there's a guy in town, you bring your bread to him, he bakes it for you.
I mean, work specialization probably happened pretty quick, I would imagine.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously there's reports in Rome of Greek bakers appearing in the 2nd century BC once they take over Asia Minor.
Yeah.
The foreign bakers of bread in Rome, this is kind of where things really explode though, of like the art form of making this kind of shit that's over here. Foreign bakers of bread in Rome were permitted to form a college, basically. The Romans were like, bread is so important. All you different bread bakers get together, start sharing your ideas faster.
Isn't bread like kind of a currency in Rome? They would. I mean, they would stamp it. I know.
Yeah, it's a currency thousands of years before Rome.
Yeah.
Too, because whereas gold is harder to get. Like,
did they also shave lead into their bread?
We'll get to that in a moment. Actually, you're not far off.
I was joking.
Well, unfortunately, that happened.
They just wrapped it in lead foil.
Lead bread.
And, yeah.
Lead bread.
Yeah.
Let the lead out. Let the bread out.
I can't have fentanyl bread, but you can eat all the lead bread you want.
The author Athenaeus, who was around 170 to 230 AD, described some of the bread, cakes, and pastries available in the classical world, and you're going to be familiar with all of them. Griddle cakes, honey and oil bread, mushroom-shaped loaves covered in poppy seeds, which is probably a prototypical bagel.
Say that again?
Sounds like a muffin.
Mushroom-shaped loaves covered in... Oh, it is a muffin.
No,
you're
say
right.
the word. How'd you pronounce?
Prototypical?
No, bagel.
Bagel?
He decides how to pronounce it.
Okay.
That's his food.
It is his food.
It's bagel.
Yeah, it is bagel. You said it weird.
I didn't. A bagel.
You're like
He
bagel.
can say it however he wants.
Anyway.
I think you said like
If he says bagel, that's how it's pronounced in this room. That's his culture.
He's not from New York.
I'm not. It's not my culture. The type and quality of flours used to produce bread could also vary, as noted by De Philus when he declared bread made of wheat as compared to that of barley is more nourishing, more digestible, and in every way superior. So people started getting real uppity with their bread in Rome. In order of merit, bread made from refined, thoroughly sieved flour comes first. So white bread is like your royalty bread. That is royalty bread that you're holding.
Yeah, sure.
It is. That's what the royals
I
would
made
eat.
king bread.
It's bread for
I made
kings.
fancy bread. It's just bread.
Yeah, stop giving yourself all this fucking love. It's fine.
Oh,
That's
I
great.
made you the bread of an emperor.
Well, no, versus like your really whole grain wheat, like shit.
Well, that
like
thing
rye
he
and
thinks
barley.
highly of us, then, Rob.
Yeah, I
I
made it
guess
for my
that's
2
true.
kings.
Aw.
Yeah, my 2 kings, bro. But yeah, and then like bread from ordinary wheat and like non-sifted flour went to like peasants, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They just need to keep you alive to work.
basically. In medieval Europe, bread served not only as a staple food, but also as part of table service. So after the fall of the Roman Empire, they were like, oh, you know what we could do? Let's make plates out of bread. Let's make a tranche out of bread.
Oh,
That's
they
how
make bread plates.
Bread plates, yeah, which I think should come back in style for sure.
I'm down with that.
In the stable,
What if actually let's just go to a place that gives you free bread and butter, like
just make
Outback or something, and like just make.
Can
like,
you
you
please
just
serve
serve the steak on
this?
on this plate of bread I've made?
So in the standard table setting of medieval Europe is what's called a trencher, which is a piece of stale bread roughly 6 by 4 inches, so like a small plate bread.
Yeah.
And it was served as an absorbent plate. So when food was scarce, an all too common occurrence in medieval Europe at the time, the trencher, when served, would typically be eaten with all like at the end
Yeah,
of
it
the meal.
gets all
everyone-
juicy. You can
Yeah.
eat it again.
You eat it. It's like, okay, we're
It's a
hungry.
crouton.
Yeah.
You're eating on a big crouton.
Yeah, in times of like abundance, though, trenchers could be given to the poor. They'd be like, "Oh, we saved our plate for you.
What is
like,
that?
save me a plate."
What was that 6-inch by 4-inch bread piece called?
The trencher. Is that what you're calling your dick now?
I'm calling my dick the trencher now.
The trencher.
Oh, it's sounds so foul.
The trencher
Here
does
comes
something.
the trencher.
It was not until the 15th century that trenchers made of wood started to replace bread. So for a long time, like 500 years, they were like,
Peasants
Bread plates.
soon became furious when
Yeah.
told to eat the new trenchers.
it's like, this is wood.
Yeah, like eat it.
But yeah, one of the first like food regulation laws was passed in Britain. It's called I think it's pronounced Assize of Bread and Ale. And this was done in the 13th century. So price, weight, and quality of bread and beer was regulated by this law. And because people were trying to sell moldy-ass bread and bread eaten by rats in the back and stuff like that as normal bread.
Sounds communist. Let the markets decide.
Yeah, so, I mean, no, I think it was so bad. People were dying at such a clip from eating bad bread.
They were. That's the market deciding.
That's true, yeah.
Communists. Let the market decide.
Mm-hmm. I think it was in the late 1700s or early 1800s, greedy bakers were packing their flour with talc and chalk and like
Of course they were.
shaved lead, like Dan was talking
They were.
about.
It was cut.
Yeah, they
were
were
cutting
cutting
it.
their flour to the point where people were getting violently and like chemically hazardless, like chemical hazard ill, and they had to start. It's like basically our first processed food laws come from Britain, where it's like,
Let the markets decide.
yeah,
Let the
So-
market decide.
still, then you get basically from there. I mean, it all kind of explodes in Rome. That's where you start seeing like traditional bread really come
That's
to
OG bread.
like
Our current version of bread.
OG bread. Yeah, like that. That is the first processed food probably ever. Like that, the steps of it, the folding and the stretching. Like
Where did they get salt?
the salt. So likely the reason why salt is even considered is because they were using seawater.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Oh.
the sea, of course.
Yeah, so there's already quite a bit of salinity in
Right.
the seawater,
makes sense.
especially in the Nile. You have that like brackish water.
Mhm.
So, yeah, they were using that. It was very salty. It gave it a nice flavor. Now we add salt.
They would take a crocodile and just wring it out.
Yeah.
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 Get the crocodile tears.
That makes sense.
But yeah, so we, typically this bread that Dan's holding, it takes a lot of stretching and folding and letting it rest and things like that. Those are things that we now mimic with mechanation, kneading machines, things like that.
Rolling pin.
Rolling pin.
Although I'm
exactly.
sure a rolling pin was invented pretty early in human history.
Oh, totally,
all
yeah.
things considered.
A rolling pin for sure. Like things for flattening were definitely there, but like
And we've perfected it with Wonder Bread.
Wonder Bread is the bastard non-bread of bread. Basically,
If you don't like Wonder Bread, then you don't like human history. You don't like you're shitting on our ancestors.
what are you talking about?
You're shitting on this country.
You're shitting on humanity. I think.
With Wonder Bread? When was Wonder Bread made? It was invented, I think, in the 40s. If I'm
By a
remembering.
great man.
It was invented in 1921. Okay. So, yeah, that's right. Around the early 20s is when you start seeing loaves of today and like American,
yeah.
the Nature's Own
One of the best
type.
times to ever live, the Roaring 20s.
Yeah, they advertised it as not having holes in it, which was like the big thing. It's like, oh, it's all surface. You're not getting robbed with shitty air in your
Yeah.
bread, which is terrible. That means there's no fermentation happening in the bread process, which means it's going to be harder on your gut.
You're getting ripped off if you're not eating Wonder Bread.
Yeah, that pain.
How
in
many
your-
holes? Show me how many holes is in Jake's bread.
Quite a few.
Oh my God, dude!
at all
What are
these
you even?
holes.
You're not even giving me bread. You
Look
just
at-
gave me some air.
Look at all
Actually,
that
like
hole.
here.
The whole point of bread is to capture air. It's you're doubling your.
I got
food.
plenty of
can-
air.
I can fit my trencher in one of these holes.
Trencher.
But yeah, no. So bread for a long time in the U.S. used to be 3 ingredients. According to the FDA, it was water, flour, and salt, and yeast, whatever you want to call it. That was kind of implied. Now you can have up to I think it's 38 different ingredients.
Smart.
Yeah. So everything that comes in a saran bag with a brand on it, it's fucking candy. You're
That's
eating
what
candy.
you need. It's got all the sugars you need and the microplastics you want and crave to keep you immortal.
That's right. But yeah, ultimately, the origin of bread is people just, man, I'm tired of chewing these kernels.
No, the origin of bread is wheat being like, we must replicate.
It's true though. Like if you think of like a successful business, right? Like what is a successful business's main KPI? How many dollars it has?
Mm-hmm.
So what is a successful genetic KPI? How many copies of DNA are floating around of you?
Yeah.
For us in wheat, once we started working together, wheat became the most prominent grass on earth.
Everybody
and
wins.
We became the biggest species on earth,
Mm.
or most powerful. At
Yeah.
least. Funny story, actually. 1920, I think, is also around the invention of. I want to say it's around the invention of Wonder Bread. Actually, not that there's any causation there, but that's the peak of human growth.
In terms of upward
Upward.
on the graph.
Yeah,
Bread rules
So-
everything around me.
Boom.
but no, then the Wonder Bread comes and starts going down. The convenience, I think, is the problem.
Okay.
Yeah, we are.
You might have sold me.
So, what'd you learn today?
We're slaves to grass.
Yep.
I just said that bream, baby. Bream.
Bream. Yeah, no, I've learned definitely that we are probably wheat's little bitch.
Yeah, we're living in The Last of Us.
Yeah, the wheat is just it's boring though. It's not
Yeah,
zombies.
it's-
But that's
Slow.
exactly how it is in real life.
Yeah, it's a slow
Yeah,
fade.
we
yeah.
can't get domesticated by a fungus. We already got domesticated by a grass.
Well, the funny thing now though is that wheat can't exist without human intervention. So wheat needs us as much as we need wheat.
I don't think so. That's why I've gone carnivore, buddy.
Okay, actually, we probably need wheat a lot less than wheat needs us. Wheat right now is so it's so basically you need human threshing in order to get it to reproduce.
I never want to take another solid shit in my life.
when people say beef is grass fed, is it eating wheat? What's it eating?
I gotta imagine. I don't know.
Weed. It's eating marijuana.
Yeah, man.
What
Cook
is
some
it?
steaks and listen to fish.
Yeah, it chills out the cow,
Yeah.
and that's why the meat's so tender.
and delicious.
Okay, so it is just pure grass. Like if it was eating wheat grass, it would be a grain fed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, grass-fed is supposed to be anti-grain.
Yeah, it's just pure grass on that. How about you, Dan? What'd you learn?
I told you, man.
Oh, Bream. Yes. Who's Hitler?
Wheat?
Wheat might be.
Wheat? Is wheat Hitler?
Wheat might be Hitler, but it's also it's kind of like a benevolent dictator.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Chill Hitler. Wheat is chill Hitler.
Yeah. Dan, you're really eye fucking that bread, man.
I think it's you because there's so many holes in here. So you're gypping the consumer.
Actually, if
Wonder
you get-
Bread is our savior. Wonder Bread is the ally that took on wheat.
It's like a tasty drywall. Fluffy. Well, that's it for me, guys. Thanks so much for listening. For Dan Jester and Rob Fox, I'm Jake Goldman.
Make sure to check out the Patreon,
Oh, right.
patreon.com/softwarehistory. Leave a 5-star review. Please and thank you. Need to get to 1,000 on Apple so I can drink again. That'd be cool.
That would be cool.
And yeah, softwarehistory.com for merch. But yeah, Jake, thanks. Thanks for having us. Thanks for having me on your show.
Hey, you're welcome,
Thanks
guy.
for making me a biscuit. And thanks for making me this loaf of bread.
That's actually for Rob.
Really just straight up bit off a piece of the bread. Jake made for me.
For Jake Goldman. Rob
You get half of the bread.
I'm Dan Jester. This bread's delicious.
Thank
you
you.
just got soft serve.